Hello, welcome back to Historical Terminology. Today we're going to talk about the social contract, which is generally how we get along as a society. The origins of the social contract came in ancient Greece and Rome, when they were originally conceived by philosophers and the people of that time, but was really revitalized and thought about a lot during the Enlightenment period. The term social contract was coined by Jean-Jacques Rousseau in 1762, and it's a moral and political philosophy that concerns with the legitimacy of an authority of a state over an individual. So that means generally the social contract is the idea that individuals give up some freedoms and submit to an authority in exchange for the protection of their remaining rights or maintenance of the social order. So basically what that means is that people like us ordinary people, give up some of our rights so that the most important rights are protected. In the United States, which is where I live, those rights might be, you could think of like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or the rights in the Bill of Rights, right? Those are specific rights that are protected because we've given up some of our freedoms. We're not allowed to do whatever we want. There are some things that are against the law, but because of that, our freedoms are protected. A social contract is needed because it's generally thought that people act in their own self-interest, and therefore it could be in one's best interest to give up some freedom to have their rights protected, right? I think long ago, when humans first made their way onto the landscape of the earth, acting in their own self-interest proved to be difficult, and so teaming up and grouping together to make rules and norms for each other helped us survive. It's part of our defense mechanism in a harsh world. So, have social contracts worked? Well, for the most part, people would agree. However, there are some people who don't. David Hume posited in 1742 that the social contract is just a convenient fiction, arguing instead that a social contract is a great fundamental idea in which to found a government, but it never actually ends up working out that way. And others have pointed out that for a social contract to work, there needs to be established rules and norms that are known by all members of the contract, and that idea is known as constitutionalism. Right? In the United States, we have a constitution that explicitly states the rights and rules of the government and what the people are allowed to do. So those things are what try to help our social contract work. Speaking of the American social contract, right, the United States Constitution is ours. It's the legal document that establishes the rules and norms that we Americans follow. And it has changed over time to better encompass the agreements Americans have made with each other. However, if you think about truly what our Constitution is meant to do, the original intent of that contract has never really been fulfilled for every member of our society. So in America, it's still a work in progress to make an active and working social contract that benefits all members of our society, whether they be white, black, or brown, whether they be straight or gay, whether they be men or women, right? All those things have not truly been realized yet. So our social contract is still being worked upon. We have not created a beneficial one for all members. How are these social contracts generally made? Well, they can be made in many ways. There's two kind of big camps with this. There's kind of implicit consent, and then there's voluntarism, which we'll talk about both. Implicit consent has two kind of different ideas in it. The first is tacit consent, which is by saying that since you live in a territory with some set rules, you're consenting kind of just by living there that you're going to be governed by those rules. Now, some people took that even further in explicit consent, which means that you have to give a direct statement saying you're going to follow these rules of the government because you need to actually have a say. Now, voluntarism steps in later on when we realize, okay, so sometimes people are joining these social contracts under the threat of force. And so voluntarism is saying that all parties must voluntarily enter the social contract without the threat of force for there to be a true social contract. In America, we would like to think that we have a voluntarism kind of social contract, but not everybody is really entering under without the threat of force. Think of Native Americans, African Americans. These are people are often threatened with force to stay within the norms of what we've decided our social contract is going to be. And so in some philosophers' eyes, that would mean that our social contract isn't really a contract, and that we don't really all have, if we go all the way back to the definition, right? We all have not given up our certain freedoms, or some people are giving up more freedoms to submit to this authority in protection of the remaining rights of a small group. And that's not really how a social contract works. So, once again, not the best. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel so I can make more content for you guys. Have a great day.